this over.
So we're going to move things, we're going to make things available. While that happens, let me tell you a little bit about myself. And I was going to accumulate my son, who is not here yet, but if he comes, just tell him we care about you skinny dipping in space. And you'll know who he is, because he will be the second or third person that is not white in this room. The first one is my daughter. Her name person, which is big come, and my husband, Roman. So we're a very international family. I'm from Spain, my husband is from Mexico, my kids are from Ethiopia, and we screw up their life by moving to the United States. That's us, and that's my localization world at home. So let me tell you about my professional experience. Well, things get set up, you manage the kids. So my administrators here are taking care of me. But I was born in Spain, as I said, and in 2004, I started working for the church as a translator. And one of the key things that got me hired was the fact that I knew some programming. Because at one point, I dreamed to be an aerospace engineer. And I moved to the States to go to Utah State and become one of the first Spaniards in space. Needless to say, life doesn't always work the way you want it, so I became a major in Spanish after having all these generals in computer science, physics, chemistry, and all those. After I finished, I moved to Ohio, and lo and behold, somebody told me, why don't you continue? And that, I'm like, because I hate it. I never wanted to do anything with languages, and now I am. So needless to say, one thing or another, I did a master's at the Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes. Sorry if you're a Utes fan, we beat the crap out of you this year. That being said, there's another year that can be fixed. So, other than that, let me tell you, this is my family. One in the Mexican hat, ironically, he was in Spain, and he wanted to wear a Mexican costume. So he found somebody that was from Mexico that had one and put it on. I'm like, out of all those places. Anyway, my middle daughter, Bella, she just moved to California. So that's my family. Nutshell, a little bit about me. Utah Tech was my first university here, which is rebranded. Some of you don't know, but we just don't talk about that. It's like, no. So Utah State University is where I graduated from, Ohio State also, and the others are universities and colleges where I have taught either translation or language classes. So let's talk a little bit about us as a company. The church has about 90 employees in headquarters, 260 plus, and many more in areas, 1,600 independent contractors, and we partner with vendors. If you wonder, yes, US Translation is one of them. So this is kind of a little bit about us. In June 2001, we started this whole venture with vendors. And you can see the blue is area employees and how much, actually, do we have any blue in here? No. So agencies, how much we've done with agencies. We started really high, then we dropped, and then we decided that for people to understand what we do, we gotta train them, right? You've never seen that in your business. We gotta train people. And especially when you have some unique jargon. Well, by the way, we don't sell, but we'll give you free book performance if you want to. We'll teach here. Torch me afterwards, or Saúl. Have you heard of Light the World campaign? That was his baby for many years, so come to him, and we'll tell you all about it. But anyway, so our venture with vendors has been interesting, as well as contractors and in-house translators. Go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, so doing a little bit of research, I decided, what are some of the vendors and how do they run? So I found out a list of 100 vendors, language service providers, top language service providers, and this was some of them, not all of them we work with. I mean, have worked with Lionbridge, RWS, but yeah. Anyway, this one is our trend. I don't know if you have had, I don't know if I need to do more. Is the camera following me, not following me? Oh, I'm there. So you should be able to see me. This is our trend on business. We started in January, nobody's putting anything in because they are getting budgets approved and so forth. I don't know if this happens to you. But then as the year moves and some major events happen, we get like a huge spike of business. And at the end of the year, everybody's trying to put everything through, including these crazy websites that they've never even considered languages until now, and they want a quick and dirty translation. Nobody has seen that, right? And when you tell them this will take about 6 months, but we have about a month of conversations before we can start. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're not crazy now, bring in miracles. And yeah, let's move on. Next one, how do we compare to industry? So we have about 110 languages for the Francophone class. General conference we do in 100 plus languages in different formats. Temple ordinances in 98 languages. Church magazines, 98. Come follow me. If you're not familiar with that, happy to give you a copy of it or give you access online. So come and talk to me. 90 plus languages and hundreds of other products. This is a sample for church name in many languages. Last time I checked, we were officially in 108, but that was last year. So we're in many years. So let's move on. Family Search. So Family Search is our largest genealogical platform that we serve. I wasn't able to get a confirmation if we are the largest platform in the world, but who knows? We partner with everybody. Bootstick is our major event, and that is the largest conference in the world. Just recently, we had some conferences that happen in Saudi Arabia, and they are featured on our Bootstick page for 2020. So interesting, really fun. A lot of people come with just the interest of genealogy. So pretty boring to me, but yeah, some stats about them. Okay, so type distinctions on our products. We have global products that we grab in English, we translate into languages, it all looks alike. The second one, we localize, where we have a unified kind of content, but the images are more local to the areas. And a third type of content that is area specific. The areas create for the audience and so forth. So we have a lot of these. What I deal with, okay, this is the breakdown. So the orange is localized, the green is area specific, and the yellow is localized, the orange is headquarters, all right?
Just translate.
Translate, just translate. And Marshall can tell you more about the strategy of getting more of the orange into the yellow and green. He has great ideas. But anyway, how does the digital world break down? So, surprise, we are not the biggest piece of the pie in the world. 7.2 North America, 9.5 Latin America. And this is total internet users. Okay, but look at the biggest numbers. A lot of the market is unexplored because often we focus on an English product and then we think about languages. Okay, so go on to the next one. So something interesting about us in 1980. Some of you were alive, some of us weren't, even thinking about translation. Even speaking a language was like, whoa. I didn't believe I was in 1980 in a little town called Madrid. And Street Los Alamos, and yeah, my biggest worry was learning how to roller skate. Not rollerblade, roller skate. Anyways, in the church, in the church we have audiences, 72 little men and women represents the audience in the US and Canada at that time. 17% Latin America, 4% Europe. That didn't include me because I didn't get baptized until 99. And Mormons were kind of a weird thing. And at that time, we called them Mormons. Now we call them members of the Church of Jesus Christ. So, in Africa, big fat 0. Okay? Let's go to the next one, 2020. Look at the numbers. And Europe thought that they were the kings of the world. There are only 3 there. Anyway, 42 US and Canada, 40 Latin America. And we have the representation of Asia and Africa there. Africa is booming right now in internet, localization, everything. Let's go to the next one. So in 2018, we were ranked among the top 20 in localization because we went from 0 presence in language in the internet to 10 and a few others more. That's where I started working in localization in 2010. And we started launching the famous, or infamous in some cases, LBS Oracle. Tyler back there, he was my partner in crime. And also Brand was a partner in crime. They were culprits with me. So let's go to the next one. And the church ranked that theme for 3 years, right? Anyway, now we moved from 2010. In 2011, we launched in 10 languages, and let me tell you, that was Herculean effort. Because it was me and 9 other people that I hired to just do that. And man, it was pointless. We were just doing translation and making sure things work. 2012 to 2014, we jumped to 40. 2016, 115 languages in the internet. And today we're in 136 languages, including right to left, which was really tough for a few years. We couldn't figure out how to write that code. Fortunately, we have mental memories. And in those 136 languages, we also include simplified Chinese and Chinese. So let's go to the next one. Yeah, the key here is collaboration. So did I know everything about localization when I came from the translation world? I said, well, all you need is to make sure the links work. No. But I was able to ask people to figure out what I didn't know that was key for me to understand. Tyler was one of the gracious people that put up with all my questions and explanations and everything, and he would walk me through things. So let's go to the next one. And we developed this process of pseudo-localization. Is Craig Ortiz here? No. He is a key element in this pseudo-localization. So pseudo-localization for us became, how do we test things before we even started languages? Because the biggest problem was like, you would get this data dump that says, oh, you have to translate this, it's the entire site. So you translate, then the poor developer puts things back in by hand, because that was the process at that time. And then we realized half of the website was never scraped and sent to us. So we stopped everything, we translated that, we sent it back, and then a third was still missing. So that was the process back then. With pseudo-localization, we have been able to say, when you're ready, we will come in, we will promise that we will break your site, and after we break it, we need to sit down and talk about it. So at the beginning, I gotta tell you, me being a woman, and the only one, and working with developers, mostly men, it was like pulling teeth. But once that we got past some of the stereotypes, we started talking about the things that matter. And it became a crucial conversation where we truly revolutionized the work that we do in the church. And all the time we were talking out languages like there was no end. So we did environments where we would go parallel, where you could see side-by-side languages, or go one back. Or we would do simultaneous instances, where you would just have to change the language on your browser and the other languages would appear. We found out that if you use two browsers with different language settings, you can always see side-by-side. But that was already key. Let's go to this one. Some of the things that we did in the process was we took all the files, we put it through sudo, that means sadly because it's a real language. We just put real characters, we make sure everything is expanded by 33. So remember the OK button in English? The Spanish is after that. Okay, and that was with the Spanish accent. Doesn't add letters there, it's after that. So, and we would see things that were grammatically broken. So even before we started in languages, we were able to impact the design and the code to not have to fix everything per language. So we would import files, we would do an evaluation, we would sit with ICS and the developers and the product managers and the editors would say, that font is wrong. And I'm like, well, there's about font, the language. Let's talk about language. And the developers were like, oh, that is not looking like we really want. So all the same crucial conversations were happening where our product actually just started really working. Some of the tools that we have done, some were internal to us, like our CMS. We call it CMS in trend because we were hoping to get a new version of it that was better and greater, but it wasn't. But LDS Publisher, Chorus, we also have external partnerships with Trados, Brightspot, Lingo4, Localization. One of the things that we did with Brightspot is now we have integrated a preview in our tools where, let's go to the next one. These are some of the people that we brought to the table. Any questions about that? Let's go to the next one. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. Let's go. Okay. Oh, we developed that. Before I show you some of the samples, we have developed some tools. And by we, I mean Dan Billings. He's probably online, and this is his hobby. We have collaborated in some of the resources that are here. But all developers, or product managers, or project managers can come here, even our designers, and see how to work with languages. And we have things as, what's the family of languages that you want to select so your languages work? So when you put this in the code, you can do on part. We also talk about the font type that will also allow you to display proper fonts. How many times have you seen those weird characters when there's a diacritical? Come on. It's like, give me a break. Don't you know my language doesn't look that ugly, dude? So we've worked with them, people work. And we have developed several things. So these are some of the things. So we started working with in-context editor. So any of these elements, like this little green or red box, I could go in and I could edit right there what was wrong. So instead of sending to a developer, hey, this character didn't work, I can go in and fix it. And instead of saying to the publisher, hey, this link is wrong, I could go in and fix it. So I touched it once and it was done. And instead of going and going and going and going. This is Brightspot actually, and this is our sandbox preview environment with SDL World Server. So it's very complex on the back end, and sometimes it breaks. But while I am in translation, I have a live in-context review that I can see on the tool that I don't need to send to a developer, where I can go back and say, actually the text doesn't fit. I'm going to fix it. And what you see here is actually soup. This Abby thing with underscore. If you speak Spanish, you will laugh at some of the things that it says there. But we got tired of lowering into something, and then some developers decided to do some coffee markers in there. So one time it got published in the church website, and everybody was wondering why we were selling some coffee makers, and everybody was like, what happened? So we decided to develop this code to get away from the coffee and the lower latency. But this is world server right here is SVL Travis world server. And our translators can click on that blue link in the middle, and this is what they will see. And then they drew it here, they send it to Bright Spot, and we are done. We're done with translation. Now let the publishers take care of what they need to do. And our time is maximized in translation, not in counting publishers for language or translators people. This is another example where we have this shared general conference, and look how pretty it looks in Russian. Julia? Where are you? Yay! Doesn't it look cool? The first time I had to work with Russian, I'm like, holy crap. And then it was Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. And all of a sudden I'm like, please don't ask me to look at any other non-Roman fonts right now, or language, because I'm not ready for that. My brain is not taking it. After a while, I just got used to it. But I did have an instance where my husband, I told him, today you're becoming a publisher for Russians, so start booking it. He was like, I don't speak that language, you don't need to speak it. Every link has to be fixed. Here is the list of links. And we did that a full entire morning, so the afternoon of broadcast could be transmitted with the right videos on the website. But anyway, these are some of our LDS.org, President Nelson getting his first COVID vaccine. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Family search. We had some fun challenges with text game. As you see, family tree is kind of like, somebody can read this for me. Anybody speaks German here?
Familienstammbaum. Familienstammbaum.
Fantastic. It sounds so much better from you than me. But look at that. How do we do that in a manual? Then we had these wonderful word memories in German. I mean, it is a word that out of context means warning. So we talked to the developers saying we can't really give you a translation of that because it's a problem. So we sat for 2 days discussing how are we going to solve this? What's an acceptable thing for Germans to see? Guess what the solution was? And instead of putting just the word right here, we made it a drop down. So the moment that somebody hovered over the word, a drop down came about. Then we could use the word. Simple solution, right? But you can't get there if you're only looking at it from where you sit, right? It's a collaboration. And at that point, we were sitting with Family Search, we were counseling with them, we told them, we will get you lunch on the day you want, you have to talk to us. We need to know what your needs are so we can meet them. And right now, let's go to the next slide. We are in Family Search over 30 languages and increasing every language. Where at that time, we were just 10. And this was in 2015. So, and their collaboration has been the sample collaboration that we always bring on. So let's go. We build bridges. So some of our case studies that look pretty, not so pretty, and really ugly. So let's go to the first one. Gospel Library. So Gospel Library is now in over 100 languages. We have content there. And as you can see, some languages look better than others. Some languages, it's hard to tell here, but some of them have some English in it. But I can't really see. I don't know if it is my glasses or the screen. But anyway, so some of the languages we supported better than others. But the key element here is we could translate strings like, give me a string, I'll get it for you. In how many languages? Done. But then Julia can tell you about how long does it take for a video to be produced. We have the English video, and then how long does it take you from getting the script to actually producing the video with voiceover?
How many languages?
Let's say Spanish.
Just Spanish, and it just depends on a few factors. It depends if there are graphics on the video, how many voices there are, though that should not actually impact the timeline. But I think if it's a pretty simple video, it can be done in 2 months.
So one voice, no graphics in the screen, short video, 2 months. That's truly the amount of time it takes. How long do you think it took to produce the English? It didn't happen overnight. So the reality is, however time it took you for the English, you gotta plan for languages. A few years ago, we had a consultant come to the church about Bible videos. And our priesthood department said, okay, we have spent so much in Bible videos, in the production of Bible, Book of Mormon videos. How long would it take us for languages, and how long would it take us? I mean, how long and how much? So how much do you say it was English? X amount of money. They said, well, that much per language. I said, well, you don't understand. We can't really spend that much. They said, well, do you want to produce or you don't want to produce? It's not much. And they started thinking, and they realized it was a lot of money for them. Of course, in my business, nobody wants to go back to the client who is the first person and said, hey, we just did like $1.2 more million on this program. Nobody wants to say anything like that to them. I mean, if it is lower amounts, we get approvals and so forth. But then you're talking about huge amounts of money. First presidency approval, and anyway, no, it was good. Yes. Anyway, so here what we have is we can launch right away in English. Then in languages it takes forever because the content takes 2 months when we're live in English. So what happens we do everything from English. Or source language is always English. If it is not in English, we translate it into English, and then we translate it into other languages. So our source language is English. All our translators are certified from English to language, and from language to English, the majority. So in English, we have a collection of 100 titles that, let's say this year, is up to date. In languages, half of the year won't be up to date. About half of the year, things start coming because it takes time to produce languages, right? And then we decided to go to languages that don't have that many resources. That instead of taking 2 months for Spanish, how long for Arabic?
A little bit longer. Well, I would probably correct myself. With Spanish, it's probably 6 to 8 weeks. With Arabic, probably add a couple more weeks to it. Just because sometimes it's hard to find with vendors to produce, and talent search and all of that. It's not a very frequently requested language.
As obscure as you go, like my daughter's first language when we adopted her, it was Amharic, one of the languages from Ethiopia. If you even look at it, you will go like, what type of language is it? I call it a mix between Hebrew and Arabic, an unofficial mix. If you were to throw them in together, it comes from, I'm just joking. But things like that. So you have to plan the time. So we actually have in the background over 3,200 collections in English waiting for languages to be completed. So it's a challenge. Let's go to the next one. Saul knows this one by heart. Turn around and look at it.
I'm looking at it right now.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I did that website.
Saul and I actually met in Intersect conference that the church puts up so we can get industry professionals to come and talk to us about industry standards. Pretty cool conference. I have not missed one since they have had one. But the last one was canceled due to the pandemic. Nobody noticed that. But anyway, so Come Unto Christ was a big challenge when we went rebranded Mormon.org to Come Unto Christ, because not only we rebranded, we did what industry will tell you never to do. We went ahead and localized every URL. So if you come to Come Unto Christ in Spanish, it's Venir a Cristo.
Portuguese, vinde a Cristo.
Vinde a Cristo
Portuguese,
in Portuguese. So, and we have French,
German.
and we have German, and we have Italian, and we have Russian. Well, we do have 3 that we support pretty close to the
We got
standard.
42 domains.
Yeah, and we keep buying things, just to make sure we're the only one buying things. But, Come Unto Christ was localized. That was a pretty tough work to do, just localizing the URLs, because every time we touch a page, we have to force it to update manually. It's not an automatic thing. So our ICS team partnered up with us. We created tables, so anytime a page comes in, they know where to grab it, where to go, how to replace things, and so forth. And we're constantly counseling with them and one. So let's go to the next one. Oh, Bible videos, that was a fun one. So this was one of my first projects when I started working, and I remember the day that this was launching. At 4 p.m., we had a go, no-go meeting, and everybody was like, oh my gosh. We were able to launch in Spanish, Portuguese, and French, Spanish and Portuguese and English, and the ICS team said, we're not doing languages like this. So we started working on a better strategy that took about 4 years. Nothing that we did really worked. So let's go to the next slide. So we decided that a simple solution was creating these YouTube collections that would support the needs for languages. It's not a website, but it did fix the problem. We were not capable of developing the code to the point that we needed to support languages. So we found, after many trial and test and failure, we found a simple solution that said, hey, why don't we create this collection? It doesn't cost us much. We support it in the official channels of the church in YouTube, but the members can get, or the audience, it's not just members. We talk about these videos have been viewed all over the world by members and non-members. They were able to get this out in a matter of 1 month. When we said, let's cut this website initiative and this mobile app, let's really focus on what matters. Let's go to the next one. Okay, mobile apps. How many of you have an Apple device? How many of you have an Android device? So when we started this, it was really funny. We had to get both. We begged the church to buy us tablets and both because we had to test both. And then let's go to the next slide. And then we realized not everybody is in the US. Not everybody can afford an Apple device. And the stats show that Apple is great in the US and Japan and the UK. And then we just go like flatlining them. And this is after we realized that not everybody was on computers, that the world was on mobile devices earlier than we were. Let's go to the next one. An app. Go ahead and click on this one. Gospel for Kids app. So we went out, we looked at what was out there, what had been done, because we realized some people that have more interest than us on building this, were building this before us. So we went ahead and purchased a couple of apps that were outside, and we combined it with some things that we were doing. And it took us 3 months to finalize the contract, 1 month to get it ready for the event that we were going to support, and 5 days to translate. How do you like that? So go ahead. And that was from start to finish. When the request came to my queue, I told them I'm not the right person. Let me put you in contact with the right person. 2 hours later, they were working with the right person. They got it done in 5 days. Miracles do happen in the world, in our industry, so let's go on. And the event happened And we were launching in 3 languages. Unfortunately, the app has only been available in Apple devices, in iOS. It's not available yet in Android because we have not been able to clear all the glitches and bugs that come with it. But that's where we are. We were able to have a very successful event, friend to friend, amigo para amigo, and amigo a amigo. One of those is Portuguese, but it sounds so close that I don't even know which one would be. I think it's
Spanish, amigo.
it's the same in Spanish and Portuguese. So. Okay, let's go to the next one. It was really cute event. The kids were talking to kids. And the event itself, and Carmen can tell you about the interpretation because she was there. The part that was interpreted because we did have simultaneous events happening in Spanish, English, and Portuguese. So not everything was interpreted, not everything was translated, and we had the cutest host in every language. And it was just so awesome. And some of the content was translated, but some of the content was created for the language and the experience there. So that was a great success of telling them you can't really translate everything. Let's go. Oh, this is my favorite one. So anybody knows about China and what's going on in China? Can you tell me about the yellow umbrella? Do you know that one?
I'm sorry, I don't know that one.
Okay, so a few years before this event happened, China had a manifestation or a protest in one of the main events where people came with the umbrellas to protest against the government and the oppression they were feeling. So yellow umbrella is a pretty iconic thing in China as a rebellion against the country. So we created this beautiful video. I don't know if you have heard the music of There's Peace and Christ. Beautiful video. Absolutely fantastic. And every time we talk about peace and Christ, a yellow umbrella will come. And we did this in 10 languages: Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian, German, Russian, Chinese, Chinese Mandarin, Chinese Cantonese, Korean, and Japanese. What was our surprise the day that we launched? We got phone calls straight from China saying, "Take it down right now." And the product manager said, "Why didn't anybody tell me about this?" I said, "Well, did you actually consult with the others?" They said, "Well, I thought I was." And it came down to a simple conversation, and we created a channel of communication for them to avoid this. So where in Portuguese we have this beautiful video, and it was filmed mostly in Portugal, in Brazil. This beautiful video and imagery of the yellow umbrella being Christ. In Chinese, we have this beautiful video of Christ being Christ. But that was something simple that we could do to avoid a cultural belly flop of international magnitude. More recently, I'm working in a project that they said, well, we consulted with the area, it's internal to us, and they said Russian is okay for Ukraine 2 years ago. Anybody sees a problem with that today? So we have counseled with them, and we said, no, you better not launch that for the Ukraine, just give them English. We'll be happy. Let's go to the next one. So any questions so far? If you don't have questions, let me show you some of them. Oh, there's a hand. Anybody? Anybody? There's the hand, not boring? Okay, so give me 2 more minutes and we'll clear that. Okay, next one. This is some of the not so pretty. So we created this beautiful website in English. We have to hand create every language that doesn't even look alike. And we can't fix it because the code is doesn't allow us to do that for the website. So let's go to the next one. So we've replaced this website. Wonderful. We go through curating an entire site for welfare services, and then they move all the resources somewhere else. So when you go back, if you're done with the job, you go back and you go like, oh, page not found. It's funny in French, it says something trouble, so it looks like page in trouble. So, yeah. Let's go to the next one. That's it. So if you don't have any questions for me, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for allowing me to come here. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, US Translations. And thank you to all the friends that have come to support me.
While everybody else is thinking of questions, I have one to start.
Oh,
All right. So ideally, every organization would be collaborating like this, right? You would have project managers collaborating with developers and those who create the content. You'd also be, collaborating with subject matter experts in local language, the linguists and the translators. Where that's not happening, what tips do you have for actually creating that relationship? In particular with content creators, right? Because you understand the importance of collaboration. But for, say, content creators, developers, and others, what are some of the best tips that you have for actually starting to really communicate, getting them to open up and allow for this type of collaboration?
so one of the things is be kind. Kindness gets a lot of doors open. I'm probably not the best example there because sometimes when people come to me and say, oh, we want this translated in 3 days, oh, by the way, that's my son, the one I told you about. And his girlfriend, Vivian. Hi. Anyway, so be kind. People have stories. People have reasons for what they do. Normally, content creators are very attached to their content. Don't offend them. Value what their expertise is and help them see what your value is. So recently I had a conversation with somebody that said, you guys are a bunch of losers that don't know how to even do translation. And I'm like, where is this guy coming from? And when I actually explained that he grabbed unfinished translations and thought that they were finished, and I said, hey, listen, dude, you're giving me strings with no context. We're doing the best that we can and in the first draft, but we depend on the context. So we need to see our translation in context to finalize it. And you just grab it mid-fly. Why? Let me tell you what we can do for you. Often the conversation, it depends where it comes from. I sometimes partner with somebody that is a trusted voice for them and I said, hey, this is the value that I can bring to the table. Would you mind presenting that for me? Needless to say, in the developers world, men are more vocal than women. And we are a minority, but that doesn't mean that we don't count. So often I will present my ideas through another voice of reason that often they can even put it better than me. Because I'm very passionate about what I do and I have to remove my passion from it. This week I was about to tell one of our vendors, outside vendors, dude, do you think you can do business like this? Because one of my translations that was a rush was 11 days late. We're paying you big bucks for this and you're not providing. And I had to go to one of my colleagues and say, could you please address this with them? Because I don't think I am the right person. So after realizing what our shortcomings are, what we don't know, and how to maximize our collaboration, maybe you're a better tool than just coming to them and saying, hey, dude, I can just do garbage in, garbage out, that's what you want, that's what you get, that's it. But we need to take pride on what we do best. And we need to allow the voice of reason to talk. So always try to research your clients, try to see what their story is and how they came about with this product and how you can improve the language experience for them. At one point with a difficult client, I said, hey, listen, I won't tell you how to do your job. Don't tell me how to do your job. But let me help you get a better experience in languages. Because it's not about my job, it's about your product being successful. And they changed their outcome I mean, from you're a loser, you don't know what you're doing, to maybe you know what you're talking about. Let's talk. Let's come to the table. And every interaction that you have is a networking possibility. So how you treat people may come back to bite you in the future. So my biggest allies have been successful stories, like partnering with Saul and having Carmen understand that when I'm correcting something for interpretation, I'm not taking her job away, I'm letting her focus on what she can do, and I'm trying to do my job best. Or Julia, expecting my translations to be ready for her to be able to do her job. I communicate with them if I have the chance. And I let them know where we are with everything. And if I can do something to better their experience with me, I will, because in the future, if they have trusted partners that I'm going to work with, they will go to them and say, hey, Gema is great to work with. And initially, when I started my job, I got hired as a manager for localization, and they said, well, we don't have a job description for you, so you will create one. And we don't know what you're going to do, but you will tell us what you do. And I was like, okay, great, I'm happy to do that, but how do I do that? And every project that was a problem, it was everything on the web, ended up on my desk. And because I was able to solve the problem, my forte is in problem resolution. It's not languages. I was told in Spain I never speak English. Anyway, I was also told that, I would never be an excellent translator, but I am excellent at solving problems. And you could give me a problem and I can make it happen. So lately conversations have been like, oh, great. I heard so many great things about you. I'm so happy you're in my project. And now I have to kind of market for my colleagues to say they are equally valuable. You just need to know how to really invite us to the table. But our biggest asset has been impacting the source language early enough to where it's not a massive cost for the business.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for our presenter? Okay, and please join me in giving her a round of applause. Thank you so much.